I'd like for other people to see something that I'm seeing. I subscribe to a newsletter called Morning Brew. This is a set of links that they've shared with their readers, and the one that I clicked was a guide to understanding the roots of the Israel-Hamas war. Deepening our understanding is going to be a real important step for moving forward with any sort of wisdom or clarity. So it's at Bloomberg.com, written by Lisa Bayer. Struggle dates back more than a century, 7 major wars. So already we've got Hamas attacked southern Israel from Gaza Strip, killing their people, kibbutzim, army bases, music festivals in the desert. Okay, so there we've got the one side. And then the other one here, more than 1,500 people have died in Israeli reprisals. Where have you heard the word reprisals before? That's like a music term. Here we have people have died, whereas over here we've got Hamas attacked towns, kibbutzim, army bases, music festival. The level of specificity sticks in the human mind much, much more clearly than something more broad like this. It's harder to relate to what's happening to the humans in this situation than it is to relate to the humans at just this word music festival, right? Like this conjures up a set of images in our brains that this, even though it's an image, not nearly as specific. Roots of the conflict, we go back, we've got these maps here, and the caption says, Jews accepted the plan, Arabs rejected it. And then down here again, Jews say yes, Arabs say no to this map. And then they take over this area by conflict, by war, by power. What's interesting here is a couple things. This whole country was called Palestine at the time. And so if you're suggesting to a group of people who call themselves Palestinians in an area called Palestine, what do you think about giving away a chunk of your country? Probably not going to be like a great idea to a lot of the people in that crowd, right? Also, a little bit of oversimplification with this idea. Jews accepted the plan. Not all Jews were into this. This was a massively controversial idea among Jews at the time. Albert Einstein was not into this. So yes, some Jews said yes, and maybe even the loudest Jews, or the Jews with the most power, the Jews with the power to act, might have said yes, but not all Jews said yes to this. And then they took this over by force. It's a lot. This whole situation is a lot, and it's a very tender situation for a lot of people. And my hope is that people will pay attention to what they're seeing, right? Numbers are different than specific images. There's one image about the Hamas attack that is just a phrase, 2 words, that I keep hearing repeated because it's so specific and so brutal. I don't even want to say it. Airstrikes, on the other hand, are much more expensive and much more deadly and much more distant. The person who's doing the harm is insulated inside an airplane with a lot of distance between themselves and the people who are dying or getting displaced or getting injured. In the Hamas attacks, there was a lot more proximity between the people who are doing the killing and the people who are being killed. And that level of proximity creates these images in our brain that's very sensational media-wise. There's one other phrase that I found interesting here. Okay, here we go. That period produced more than 500,000 Arab refugees. Time was the subject of this sentence, time period. And what did the time period do? It produced more than 500,000 Arab refugees. What happened that they're not saying with words is that the people who created the government of Israel displaced more than 500,000 people. It pushed them out of their homes and made them go somewhere else. That's just a little bit more specific language that they're not using. They're not using as specific of language when they describe things like this. Specificity is the thing that the brains really love and grab onto. And so notice when you see numbers and general terms used in one area, whereas these very specific images get used in other areas, even in places that are trying to provide context, trying to give people a bigger picture. That's it. That's what I'm seeing.